Hello, everyone. My name is Alexandra Levine. This is Alexandra 360 coming to you live. Breaking news. Kamala Harris finally picks her vice presidential candidate, and it's not who you think it is. Patrick, play the clip.
Big morning in news, 9 o'clock here in New York. According to the Associated Press minutes ago, the AP says that Kamala Harris has made her choice for the undercard, and she has selected Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, age 60, to be the vice president nominee. That news just breaking right now. Welcome to our coverage. You got a big couple of hours coming up here. You got this news breaking on the campaign. You got major news overseas. So welcome. I'm Bill Hemmer live in New York. Dana's got the week off today, and welcome back to Jillian.
Thanks for having me. I'm Jillian Turner in for Dana. So Walz believed by the campaign to boost the vice president's profile and chances of winning, securing parts of the Midwest. Chosen over and above the other frontrunner, Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Let's go ahead and toss to Brian Yanis. He is live on the ground awaiting the arrival of the vice president and her running mate. They are going to be there later this afternoon. What can you tell us so far, Brian?
Jillian and Bill, that's right. Well, the first rally that Vice President Kamala Harris will have with her now running mate, Tim Walz, is going to happen here in Philadelphia. It happens at 5 p.m. tonight. It'll be their first joint rally. And interestingly, the governor of Minnesota, Walz, will be sharing that stage with Harris, as well as, from our understanding, Pennsylvania's Governor Josh Shapiro, who was also one of the top two finalists for this job. So you're going to have a situation here tonight where they'll not only have their first rally together, but a chance for the party as well to at least show that they are unified, given what has been an interesting 15, 16-day speed through here in trying to pick a vice president. Walz is from Minnesota. He has an appeal, especially to Western Wisconsin. He's a former high school teacher. He was in the National Guard. He is somebody who is known for being plain spoken. He has experience in Congress, serving as 6 terms in the House of Representatives and 2 terms in Minnesota. An interesting thing here, obviously, is that this was a pick that was being pushed by progressives, including Senator Bernie Sanders, as well as the United Auto Workers Union, who all endorsed Walz as the pick over Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. Interesting pitfall here, though, could be the fact that he was governor of Minnesota during the George Floyd riots. He was really attacked by Republicans, and he even said himself that he could have done a better job during that situation, including calling in the National Guard sooner and calling in more National Guard troops as the cities were lit on fire during those riots. So that'll be something to look into. But more interesting, not only in that the fact that Tim Walz is somebody that kind of emerged as a dark horse. He was somebody that started making the rounds late in this game. He's the one that coined the attacks against former President Trump, calling him weird. And now a lot of attention is going to be on the fact that Harris decided not to go with Pennsylvania's governor, Josh Shapiro. He was the front runner here, and now he obviously is not being chosen. He was seen as somebody who could really bring in a lot of moderate voters. He could deliver the must-win state of Pennsylvania, having won it as governor in 2022 by 15 points. But there were some pitfalls. Progressives really pushing back against Shapiro, particularly his stance on school vouchers, his stance, sexual harassment case against one of his top aides in his office, and, of course, his stance on Israel. Progressives were attacking him for being too pro-Israel, despite the fact that his stance was very much in the mainstream with the party, and that caused a lot of Democrats to come out in his defense, saying that it was anti-Semitism that was driving that. So you're going to hear a lot about that in the coming hours and days, why she did not decide to choose Shapiro. In fact, J.D. Vance, guys, this morning on Hugh Hewitt's show said that if Harris did not choose Shapiro, it would be very much because of anti-Semitism in parts of their party. Guys?
Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear that? So they kept hyping it up and hyping up. The news kept hyping up that she was going to pick Governor Josh Shapiro, a Jewish man, by the way. Now, as all my viewers know, I'm 100% Jewish. I'm going to say it to the Jewish Americans. I'm going to say it to the Jewish voters, particularly the Democrats and the Jewish Democrats and the Jewish independents, because I told you I'm going to pound it till November 5th. She did not choose the Jewish governor, Josh Shapiro. One of the biggest reasons was because he's Jewish, because the progressives, Bernie Sanders, the radical Islamic extremists, the squad didn't want a Jewish vice president nominee. Because as Fox News just said, there's so much, too much pro-Israel coming out of Josh Shapiro's mouth. He supports Israel too much. We can't have it. Bernie Sanders says it. We can't have it. Look what's going on in Israel right now today. Unfortunately, Iran is about to attack Israel for the first time ever. If Kamala Harris would have picked Josh Shapiro, it would have been bad for her business, bad for her donors. She chose the progressive left over we the people. Let me tell you something. The progressive left is the minority in this country. The Bernie Sanders Jewish people of this country are the minority. So again, I'm going to ask the Jewish community. I'm going to ask the majority of the Jewish community, Jewish Democrats, Jewish independents, to vote for Donald J. Trump. And I have talked to liberal Jews. I have talked to young Jewish kids on college campuses you would never think would vote for Donald Trump. They're tired of what's going on. I give them a voice. We talk it out. A lot of them are going to vote for Donald Trump. I do not cast them out as, well, I'll never get their vote. You can't act that way. You can't have that attitude. Because the people that they're pushing in power do not have the Jewish community's best interest at heart. They don't have the Christian faith's best interest at heart, anyone of faith at heart, or the Black community. And we have a wonderful guest in the Black community coming up soon. But this is who Kamala Harris picked. This guy who pushes Ilhan Omar as a congresswoman, who puts Somalia first, who's embedded and loves Keith Ellison, who's part of the Nation of Islam. Who's the head of the Nation of Islam? Louis Farrakhan, who's a known anti-Semite, who calls Jews vermins and rodents. And who is best friends with Louis Farrakhan? Barack Hussein Obama. And who is also working behind the strings in all of this? A man named George Soros, with his son Alex Soros right behind it, who's just got engaged to Huma Abedin. Huma Abedin's mother is part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Do you see the connection? They are all interconnected. That is why we cannot have Kamala Harris and Waltz in the White House. We got to get these people out. That's why we got to get the squad out of Congress. This is serious stuff. When they say that this election is the most important election, it's the truth. It's not funny. Now we're saying reports that it may not be Kamala Harris and Waltz, that this is just a facade. They may put someone else in at the last minute. We don't have it up, but Trump actually truthed something really interesting a few hours ago, saying, wouldn't it be interesting if Joe Biden actually went on the DNC convention stage and took his presidency back and said, you know what? I don't like this. I don't like what's going on. This is unconstitutional. I'm going to debate Donald Trump. I think I'm going to run. I think I'm just going to reverse everything that I just said, and I'm going to run. Because this is crazy. I mean, look at Governor Waltz's record. Yes, he was a former U.S. Army, non-commissioned officer, retired educator. There's actually been reports that he's been accused of stolen valor, actually. Yes, he was a congressman in 2006 in Minnesota District 1. He was elected governor in 2018, reelected in 2022. But he works wholeheartedly with Attorney General Keith Ellison. Remember, we said he's part of the Nation of Islam, Keith Ellison. There's a picture of him with his buddy, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, who he helped get elected, by the way, and reelected, and he'll help her get reelected again. He advanced the Affordable Care Act, which is horrible, by the way. I'm in the health insurance industry. It's terrible. I will never, ever, ever sign anyone to the Affordable Care Act, by the way. I'll never push it. I'll never sign it. Heck no. In fact, I get people off of it because it's horrible insurance. Doesn't help anybody. He has a 100% rating from Planned Parenthood. He believes in late-term abortion. He believes in actually later than that, after you have the baby, to go kill the baby. He's radical in that sense. He believes in 100% ceasefire in Gaza. He doesn't support Israel at all. He's with the squad on that. He watched his state burn to the ground, when Republicans and even Democrats begged him, please get out the National Guard, please stop this. After the whole thing with George Floyd and the BLM riots, which were funded by George Soros, by the way. It's a known fact. These are not opinions, these are facts. This guy is radical. Tim Walz is radical. He calls J.D. Vance and President Trump weird. And then in 2023, this is the craziness of him. He signs an executive order protecting access to gender-affirming care. And then he has the audacity to arrest parents that don't support this. He's allowing a 3-year-old to decide if they want to, if a 3-year-old is a boy and they want to decide to be a girl, they have the right to do that without parental consent. That's craziness. He won't allow the parent to make the proper decision for their child. Doesn't want parent involvement. It's craziness. Sign an executive order on this. Pushing CRT, gender identity. You should read the disgusting curriculum. The disgusting curriculum that he pushes, or that not pushes, but he allows in his state. It's the same stuff that we're dealing, that my friends in Maryland are dealing with. Then my friend, the conservative corner, Seth Eisenberg, he's on 7 p.m. on Sundays. He talks about that with Governor Wes Moore and the school boards in Frederick and the school boards in Baltimore County and what they're trying to push. It's sick. It's these same progressive governors that want to go up in the world. Governor Wes Moore wants to go up in the world. Now this governor, who's out the door, he's term limited, wants to go up in the world and push his progressive, radical views. And again, I say to the Jewish community, you're going to vote for this? You're going to stand by this? Kamala Harris didn't pick the Jewish governor from Pennsylvania because he was a Jew. Because he supports Israel. Because he keeps kosher, because he follows traditional values. And then Josh Shapiro, and I'm not giving him a pass on this is disgusting. He denounces his pro-Israel stance 3 days ago. Oh, I'm sorry, that was so pro-Israel. I call for a ceasefire. And then he stands with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz today in Pennsylvania and says, I'll campaign for you still no matter what. Oh, yeah, I'll help you cheat in Pennsylvania. No problem. We, the people, need to reject this. We, the people, need to say no to this. We, the people, cannot vote for this, cannot stand for this. We need to hold these people accountable. Send these people home. I mean, all these, liberals say, oh, if Donald Trump wins, I'm moving to Jupiter or Mars, or I'm leaving the country. Go, let him leave. Let Kamala Harris leave the country. Let Mr. Walz, let him go live with Hamas. Let him go live with Hezbollah, the Taliban. Give him a one-way ticket. This country was not built on socialism, communism, Marxism. We can't just sit back and we can't not talk about it. I go on some of these Facebook groups and I'm like, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about, politics on these things? Because this is serious stuff. You're going to put this Tim Walz guy in there? You cannot turn a blind eye to what he has done, what he will continue to do if, God forbid, he becomes the vice president. You cannot turn a blind eye to what Kamala Harris has done, how she snubbed the prime minister of Israel. The difference between the interaction between her and Netanyahu and President Trump and Netanyahu, it was day and night. How comfortable Netanyahu was at Mar-a-Lago compared to the crap that he got in D.C., the disrespect. And he gave a beautiful bipartisan speech, by the way, Netanyahu did, in the halls of Congress. And there was beautiful bipartisanship at the RNC convention. You're not going to see that at the DNC convention. You're going to see crap at the DNC convention. You're going to see a bunch of progressivism, socialism, Marxism, communism. You're going to see it. And we, the people, have to fight back and say, no, I will not stand for it. And I know people are scared. And I know that people are scared, but we cannot be afraid anymore. As we say in Israel, and I'm going to say it here, never again means never again, and never again means now. So let's stand up and let's do something. Let's take this seriously. I don't want to hear that we can't, or all Jews are going to vote Democrat no matter what. And I get the same question all the time. Why did Jews continue to vote liberal or left all the time? I want to break away that stereotype. I want to stop it. We have the opportunity to stop it. And I've done the work. And I won't stop until the work is done. I'm not a defeatist. I'm not a pessimist. I'm not a negative. And you shouldn't be either. This is serious stuff. After the break, we are coming back with a wonderful woman named Madeline Brame, who spoke at the RNC convention. She gave a very powerful speech. She's the CEO of Rescue Angel Consulting. We'll be right back after our sponsor.
Born in the coastal plains of South Texas, Smoking Gun Coffee is founded by combat veterans that know exactly what a cup of coffee needs to taste like. Run by father and son, each coffee bean is perfected, roasted at 500 degrees, and cooled with a Gulf Coast breeze. Smoking Gun Coffee hand makes and bags each ounce of coffee for maximum customer satisfaction. With every purchase, 10% goes back to organizations that help veterans and local communities. That's Texas made, one bag at a time. To find out more, go to www.smokingguncoffee.com.
Hey everyone, again, Alexandra with Alexandra 360. We are back live with my wonderful guest, Madeline Brame. She's the CEO of Rescue Angel Consulting. She's also the state director of Blexit in New York. And she's also the mother of homicide and fentanyl poisoning victims. Thank you so much for coming on to my show. It is an honor and a privilege.
Well, hi. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. So, Ms. Brame, you gave such a powerful speech at the RNC convention. I would say one of the best. I loved it. You woke up the audience and you were so lively. Tell us about that moment and, tell us about, that speech.
It was a very powerful moment. It was surreal almost. That's the first time that I ever been on a national stage of that, magnitude. I did speak at the South Bronx rally before Trump came on. And that's when I realized that I could actually get a crowd motivated because, people underestimated the size of that crowd there in the South Bronx. They thought that, but there was a good, 10,000, maybe 15,000 people there on the lawn. And that was the first time that I saw that, the things that I was saying could actually get a crowd motivated. So when I did that at the RNC convention, they had prepared this whole script for me, this whole speech. And it was like 5 or 6 teleprompters, and we did a whole rehearsal and turned this way, that way. Just very uncomfortable with that because I've never read from a speech before, nor have I ever used a teleprompter. So, I started out, reading from it, and then I stumbled over a word or two. And that's when I scrapped the whole thing. I said, forget that. I'm just going straight from the gut, authentic, just be me. And so once that, took over, then it resonated and it connected with the crowd, and people were just on their feet. And I saw tears. I saw, excitement. I saw, even Trump, his face he was on his feet. So yeah, that was a very, very powerful moment for me, and I was honored, needless to say, to be able to even, present that, and tell my son's story.
Now tell us the story of when did you first come across President Trump?
When I first came across President Trump, wow, personally, I think at the Turning Point Convention. Turning Point Convention, where was that? That was just a couple of months ago. We were somewhere. Anyway, after Trump spoke, the whole Brexit team was invited backstage to take a picture with him. And when he came up to me to sign my hat, because he was signing everybody's hat, I said, I'm Madeline Brame from the Bronx. He said, oh my God, Madeline, I love you. I love your son. I love your story. I'm so sorry that happened to your son, whatever. We were very excited. He reached in, he gave me a little peck on the cheek. He stood next to me and he gave me the black magic marker that he signed everybody's hat with. So he said, I'll be calling on you. I'll be calling on you. And so we took the picture, but that was my first interaction, actually, one-on-one with him. But he did mention my name at the Bronx rally. And also I think I was on Fox News and I was asked something about the illegals that, are in Manhattan, because I work in Midtown Manhattan. And at that time is when the illegals were first being dumped onto our sidewalks, and they were hanging out by the mailboxes during lunchtime. Everybody's coming out from the office buildings to go get their lunch, and you got illegals on every corner, drinking, getting drunk, watching the white women, and speaking in Spanish about, how they looked and this and that, So I said that on Fox News, and Trump actually repeated that at his rally in Ohio, I believe. He didn't mention my name, but he told the story of what I said, and he also told the story of my son. So at that rally. So I've been on his radar since then. So yeah.
I just want to say condolences, to your son. It was very tragic, what happened to him. And, I lived in New York, for a few years. I went to school there, and New York is not the same as it was, years ago. And I was even just there a couple of years ago, and it's changed so much. And, I talked earlier in the segment about me being Jewish, and I'm an NYU graduate, and the NYU Hillels and the Columbia University Hillels. And a lot of the schools there are just, with the rise of anti-Semitism, but also, what you're seeing in your community, in the Black community, and the Hispanic community, with a lot of the illegals, a lot of these illegal, Afghan and Syrian refugees coming into New York. A lot of people are saying, why is this happening? But B, why would anybody call for the defunding of police? And why would any mayor, why would any governor want to allow all of these, illegals that are coming in with drugs and having the rise of MS-13 gang members, enter their cities and enter their towns? Why in God's name would anybody think that's okay?
Well, I think that back in 2019, my son's case was ready to go to trial, strong trial ready, murder case against 4 people, right? All 4. Alvin Bragg came into office and he was handed that case, and at the same time, simultaneously, right, bail reform had just went into effect. That's the progressive policy that says that a poor person should not be held on these astronomical amounts of bail. When a white person, is charged with the same thing, and they can either afford bail because the economic advantage, or, they're released on a lower bail. So that was supposed to be the intent of bail reform, to reform the bail system, right? But in the interim, there's all these different types of language that nobody understood at the time what it meant, discovery and a bunch of stuff. I had to be a fast learner because my son's case was affected directly by that law, where it said that they can even reduce charges as serious as murder and gang assault to a lesser included offense, right? Even though it wasn't supposed to apply to violent felony offenders, but it did because nobody understood what it meant at the time. So anyway, 2 of my son's murders fell through the cracks of that. You know, where Alvin Bragg dismissed the murdering gang and charged the female with assault with a shoe. You know, he made up that charge. No one's ever even heard of assault with a shoe, let alone reducing murder down to assault with a shoe. You know, so she walked. And then another one, he's getting out next month. You know, it's been 7 years, right? Now, these people are on video, you know, participating in this brutal slaughter of my son in the middle of the street, you know, and clear video. And I don't understand how one person is guilty of that murder, how all 4 were not guilty. Because if that had been Alvin Bragg's son, right, or if it had been the judge's son, right, all 4 of them people would have been doing life without the possibility of parole. That's how heinous and brutal that slaughter was of my boy. You know, no mercy, no mercy. And then they left him there in the gutter to bleed to death. You know, ran away. So anyway, as time went on, my son's case was only one of many where people were getting away with these heinous crimes. You know, and the bodies were beginning to pile up, the body bags. You know, the mothers down at the morgue identifying their dead child's body was beginning, babies being shot in strollers. You know, they were letting all these people out of jails, these violent, you know, recidivists, repeat violent felony offenders who had no business being out of jail. But the law says that, you know, incarceration does not make the public safer, you know, so we're just going to let them out. And even though, you know, the crime rate was going up, you know, 43%, you know, since then, nobody still said anything about backtracking or reversing this or, you know, putting that garbage through a shredder. Nobody once said that, you know, and they're still not saying it. And this vice president pick has doubled down and tripled down on it in his own city. All right. He championed these laws along with Kamala Harris, right? Along with the open borders. You know, there is no type of mechanism in place for victims of violent crime, you know, across the country, right? There is nothing that says that we have any rights, okay, or very minimal, very, very minimal rights. You know, if my child or your child gets killed and is a victim of crime, and you have to go to them for help for burial, they will give you $3,000 when a funeral costs at least $12,000 to $15,000. You know, luckily my son was a veteran, so he was able to be buried with all the bells and whistles out at Calverton. However, you know, there's so many victims that's not the case. You know, where there's nothing in place. That's one of the things that we're doing at Rescue Angel is we are advocating and lobbying for stronger legislation and policy to protect the rights and strengthen the rights for victims of violent crime, especially the children that are attached to it. You know, so many kids across the United States are, you know, orphans now. You know, the mother or the father, someone has been killed. You know, and these kids are just left out, hung out to dry. You know, so yeah, you know, you said it earlier. This is not a joke. What's happening here? You know, even though you speak from the perspective of the Jewish community, however, you know, the policies that are in place are affecting both of us.
Yeah.
You know, your culture and your traditions and your way of life may be different than the Black community. However, poverty, all right, affects all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and these policies are targeting the poor minority communities.
Mhm.
Jewish are minority, Blacks are minority, you know, Hispanics are minority, especially if you're poor.
Yeah.
You know, so they it does not discriminate, and
Can you put up that picture of Madeline with Congressman Zeldin? Yep. I just wanted to put so Congressman Zeldin is a Jewish Republican former congressman. He ran for governor of New York, you know, and he's close with Madeline. He's close with myself. I mean, we all get along. We all get along.
yeah,
Doesn't matter race, religion, creed, party. We all
doesn't
get
matter.
along. We're all together. Together.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead, Madeline. I just wanted to put
I have much respect for Mr. Zeldin. You know, I was when he was campaigning for governor, you know, I was there with him once or twice out there in Harlem.
He was close too. He was very close to
He almost won that thing. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Lee had a way of connecting with people, right? And if there was a shooting or someone got pushed in front of the train, Lee would set up a podium right there at the scene, and do a press conference right there the very next day.
And he went into the trenches. He went into
he went in there.
Yep,
he went in there and he
very
shook hands with people. People liked him.
Yep, he
Even
went
in
into very
Harlem.
deep liberal areas, and he
Even
went
in Harlem, people liked him. You know, because you have to have that certain amount of charisma about yourself, all right, to deal with my community, your community, you know, unconventional communities that are not, you know, too political. You know, like if you were to go into my community right now and ask who Kamala Harris is, a lot of people don't even know who she is, and she's been the vice president for 3.5 years.
Right.
Sure. And they know who Biden is, and if you ask them who Trump is, they absolutely know who Trump is. You know, the majority of them are supporting Trump, right? And from my community, there are those that are not. All right. And we are always going to, we spoke about that off camera earlier. We're always going to have that certain element, right, of our community who is not going to support any political candidate. You know, those are the ones that don't vote anyway. All right. And when we say that their vote, when they say that their vote doesn't count, you know, doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why, because they don't vote. That's why. But they have an opinion, right? They have an opinion. That's okay. We all have an opinion. But I wanted to speak directly to people, you know, from the Black community. You know, we have this issue, or this hang up. This hang up is what I want to call it, right? We will take the criticism from anybody else as long as the person is not Black who's saying it. If the person is Black who is giving the constructive criticism, all right, showing some tough love, trying to, you know, encourage people, inspire people, motivate people. As long as the person is not Black, they will accept it. If the person is Black, they'll look at that person and call him a coon, call him a racist, call him an Uncle Tom, call him a Sambo, call him every name that you could possibly think of. Who do you think you are? You're trying to act like you're white, this, that, and the third, all because you're trying to share information, right? And want people to just, you know, look at themselves for a minute, look at their behavior. And like you were saying, that we have to change this. We have to change. We do. In my community, we have to change our thinking, our attitude, and our behavior, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, we are focusing on all the wrong things that are completely destroying us. This abortion issue is huge in our community. The complete genocide, right, of Black babies in the womb through abortion, right? They're promoting this, you know, transgenderism, right? Promoting this, letting a child CRT or whatever, critical race theory, and all this other kind of crap, you know, and it's like, it's targeted right at our community. Mm-hmm. We're targeted.
Mhm.
You know, and when you try to explain this stuff to people, you know, they're not open to it. They're not open, even though they see it and they're complaining about it. You know,
Mhm.
and when you're trying to show them a way out, they they're not open. They're not open to it.
I agree. Now, Madeline, we just have about a couple minutes left, so
Okay.
I wanted to, ask you, because we're talking about, the Black community, a Black woman. You as a Black woman in your community, why do you think, in your opinion, that a vote for Kamala Harris and Walz would be detrimental to you and your community?
Because it'll just be more of the same.
Mhm.
More of the same, a vote for Kamala and what's his name? Waltz.
Walz.
All right. Never heard of the guy, right, before today. Will just be more of the Biden Harris, failed administration that is running our country right into the ground. All right. Dead into the ground. And Kamala already said it, that she's not going to do anything exclusively for the Black community. Whatever she does, it's gonna benefit everybody. Make no mistake about it. She's not doing nothing exclusively for the Black community. Unlike Trump. Trump got the $500 billion platinum plan.
Mm-hmm.
Exclusively for the Black community. All right. And he had it, when he ran before, and I believe he's going to bring it back. I believe he's going to bring it back, where he's going to be creating some real serious economic opportunities, to help lift our community up out of poverty. Our young men who are criminal justice involved, create some good paying jobs with benefits so they can support themselves and their children, to help them to avoid incarceration. So we look forward to that. That's a huge piece in our community. And Kamala Harris is definitely bad news. People may be talking like they support her, but at the end of the day, either those people don't vote at all, or when they get in that voting booth, all right, when it's just them, that machine, and God, okay,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to do the right thing. I'm trusting and believing, that my community is much more intelligent, than what we are giving credit for.
Well, Madeline, how can everybody find you on social media? And tell us more about your event that you're going to have at the end of the month.
Okay. The 31st of August out in North Bellport, New York at the Robert Rowley Park. We are doing North Bellport's Back to School 2024. First time ever, the Reverend Helen Henry Scholarship Fund, where kids are going to be writing a 300-word essay, reciting it, and the best one will get a $250 award. We have a dance contest going on. It's $250 for that. We got Battle of the DJs going on. There's $500 prize for that. We're giving out free school supplies. We have food and fun and games and photo booths. It's going to be a wild event all for the kids before they go back to school. Right? You can reach me at all social media platforms. My name, Madeline Brame. All over. My website is not up and running yet, but we're working on it. All right. So look forward to Rescue Angel Consulting website soon. Right. I do have a GoFundMe page up on my Rescue Angel 1 Facebook page. Go to my profile, click that, click the GoFundMe link in there to help me to continue to provide the free services and the free things that I do in the community. Help me with my volunteerism work. I cannot continue to do it for free. So I depend on, supporters like your viewers to help me and assist me for travel, for buying, rental spaces and different things like that to put on these events so I can bring, these services to our communities.
Awesome. And we'll definitely put those links up after the show. I'm
Thank
going
you.
to actually have you text me those links, and then we'll put them up after the show as well. But thank you so much, Madeline. We appreciate it. Again, our condolences to your son. Thank you so much for fighting. Thank you for your wonderful speech at the RNC convention. And we will be right back after the break.
Thank you so much.
Do you have old home videotapes that you're no longer able to watch? Need them transferred to DVD, Blu-ray, or your smart device? Baltimore Digital offers professional-grade VHS, mini DV, and high 8 digitizing services. We can also convert Super 8mm film too. Baltimore Digital also provides photo restoration services. Visit archive.baltimoredigital.net. Mention code Alexandra for a 10% introductory discount.
Hi, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra 360. We just had a wonderful guest, Madeline Brame. She's the CEO of Rescue Angel Consulting. She gave a very powerful speech at the RNC convention. Unfortunately, she lost her son to a heinous, heinous crime. A mother never wants to lose her child. It's just horrible. But we all support her. We love her. And we will be putting up her links and everything right after the show so you all can follow her. Now, the biggest thing that happened this week was stock market crash. There you go. Stock markets are crashing. Jobs numbers are terrible. We're headed to World War III. We have two of the most incompetent leaders in history. This is not good. Truth by President Donald J. Trump. Another truth by him. Trump cash versus Kamala crash. Yep. And guess what? President Trump, he predicted this. He predicted this. He predicted this the minute that Joe Biden went into the White House. He said the economy is going to crash. We're going to go into a recession, probably a depression. And he predicted, yep, there it goes. Of course, there's a massive market downturn. Kamala's even worse than Crooked Joe. Markets will never accept the radical left lunatic that destroyed San Francisco and California as a whole. Next move, the Great Depression of 2024. You can't play games with markets. Kamala crash. He's 100%. And that stems on the jobs numbers report that were given the Friday before. Oh my God, the unemployment is just insane. So many people are out of work. I have friends that have had jobs for 20 to 30 years working at Microsoft, Google, some of these, very high paying, high profile jobs, investment banking jobs, big jobs. And all of a sudden they're cut. They're just cut out of nowhere. I have friends that have worked at hair salons for 10, 20 years. Their hours are getting cut. And people are hiring them that have never had any, retail experience or any hairdressing experience in their life, or, nothing an hour. It's really sad out there. Restaurants are suffering. Everything is everybody's suffering, and the cost of groceries is ridiculous. I have to try to go to different grocery stores now just to get a little bit of a break. I don't shop at Giant anymore when I'm in Maryland because it's so expensive, and I shop for myself. And I look at the end of my the receipt, and I'm like, how much did I just spend? I bought 5 items, and it's over $100. I'm like, this is crazy. And then I'll go to Safeway, and it's I went from 100 to 84. Okay, that's good. And then I go to Food Line. Okay, now we're down to 64. But I shouldn't have to do that. Oh, and don't forget, in Maryland, you got to pay 5 cents a bag. They tax you in Maryland with the bags. So it's just it's insane. It's insane everywhere. And the cost of toilet paper. I mean, toilet paper is $10 now. I mean, when it costs you so much just to wipe your own behind, I mean, that's a problem. That is a problem. And then, you see the president retruthing Japan down 12%. Yep, there it goes. Japan down 12%, India down 6%, Germany way down also. That's the world. U.S. really bad. This is a preview of the world markets without Donald Trump in the White House. None of this happens if Trump is in. Kamala and the markets don't go together. She'll destroy the market. She's in power now. And look at what's happening. 1 week of the fake media saying better polls, and you get a market crash. The legendary Howard Lutnick. He's correct. He's 100% correct. The gas prices were so low under Donald J. Trump. I mean, it was $1.23 unleaded in South Carolina under President Trump, $1.18, $1.36, $2. We're up to $4, $5, $6 a gallon in some states. I mean, this is insane. And guess what? When the market crashes, usually the people look at their wallets and they're like, do I want 4 more years of this? Some political pundits have said, you know what? I may just vote for Donald Trump just because we're going to go into a deep recession, into a depression. They're like, Donald J. Trump may just win this just based on the markets crashing. But it's not just that. you have to look at everything as a whole. And everybody knows that Kamala Harris is worse than crooked Joe Biden. I mean, she only pulled 1% when she ran for president. 1%. She had to leave the Iowa caucus because Tulsi Gabbard destroyed her in the debates. Again, this is real. And then she just picked this progressive leftist governor in Minnesota who's literally taken his state to the ground. People have left his state because they can't afford it anymore. He's got radical Islamic extremists all over Minneapolis. He's got a freaking Somali, Ilhan Omar, who he praises. He's got Keith Ellison, who's part of the Nation of Islam, which is controlled by Louis Farrakhan. I mean, this is what's going on, guys. Connect the dots. This is what's going on. The NASDAQ hits a record, down 1,000 points on the day. That's never happened. Investors are fearful of a recession after a dismal jobs report last week. I mean, this is crazy. Do you like seeing your 401ks just dwindle? Do you like not having a job? Do you like being on unemployment for the rest of your life? It doesn't pay that much, by the way. I have friends that are on unemployment. I think what they get $200 every 2 weeks or something like that, $400 every two. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the going rate is, but you don't want to be on that. That's not sustainable. America wasn't made so that we live off the government. That's not what our founding fathers wanted. This is not what President Trump wants. Wants to put the American people back to work. That's why we voted for him in 2016. That's why we voted for him in 2020. That's why we need him in 2024. I have young people now waking up. They don't like this. Our young people, they're not getting married. They're not having kids because they can't afford it. That's scary. It's very scary. Remember what AOC said? Don't get married. Don't have children. We're all going to die in 12 years because of global warming. And people listened. You can't listen to those people anymore. I was just reading while I had Madeline Brame that I think that one of the squad members, Cori Bush, I think she's going to be primaried out tonight. Squad leader. She's primaried out. Jamal Bowman is gone. But we got this progressive guy as the vice presidential candidate on the Democratic side. We, the people, the voters, are telling the squad something. We're telling the mainstream media something. We don't want this. We don't want this progressive agenda. They don't even use the term correctly. Progressivism means to move forward, not backward. These are retrogressors. These are communists, socialists, Marxists. And again, I'm going to continue to pound the narrative, to pound the message that Jewish Americans, minorities, should not vote Democrat for president, should not vote for these liberal socialist Democrats. Anybody that doesn't have your best interest at heart. Do not vote for them just because they have a D or an R at the end of their name. If they don't support you, if you don't feel that they represent you, don't vote for them. You have the God-given right to vote for whoever you want to. Just like Madeline said, the silent majority. You're going to walk into that ballot box and it's between you, your ballot, and God. You don't have to tell anybody. If you choose to tell your mom or your dad or your spouse or whatever, that's your right. But you don't have to say a word. You just go in there, bubble, and that's it. Principles over party. I voted for President Trump in 2016, in 2020. I will vote for him again in 2024 because he resonates with me as a Jew, as a woman, as a young millennial. He has helped me in life. He's helped me in my business. He's helped me sing again. Under Barack Hussein Obama, opera houses were closing down all over the country and the world. I was in retail for over 12 years. Under Democrats, retail was closed down. Jobs were stagnant. Hours were closed. Or, sorry, not closed. Hours were cut. Company cars were gone. Company cards were gone. Customer service went out the window. I didn't talk politics when I was in retail. We were not allowed to. Now everybody does. I go into a doctor's office now. I get such disrespect from the nurses. I asked the nurse nicely, well, what are you doing? Do you still need my insurance card? Do you need me to like answer some questions for you? And she goes, I have to manually type this. Do you want to come over and type this for me? Rude, disrespectful. I am the patient. I walk into a hair salon now. There's no, hi, how are you? Can I get you a cup of water? Can I get you a glass of champagne? I walk into Saks Fifth Avenue, a Nordstrom's. There's not one smile on those employees' faces. And that's because when you have stores, CEOs, areas that are Democrat controlled, all the customer service goes out the window, decorum goes out the window, etiquette goes out the window. They're just hiring whoever. And the people that really are qualified aren't getting those jobs. It's really sad. The Democrats are pushing Kamala Harris because of her race. It's all about race. And they didn't pick Shapiro. They didn't pick Josh Shapiro because of his ethnicity. That is a true fact. It was bad for business if they did. We showed it in the first clip earlier in the podcast. Very sad. And Josh Shapiro had the audacity to retract his statements about being pro-Israel. I shouldn't have been so pro-Israel, he said 3 days ago. That's disgusting. That is a Gino, J-I-N-O, a Jew in name only when you do that. You do not do that. If you're a person of faith, you show that proudly. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to wear your Jewish star, wear your kippah, observe. Put that mezuzah on the doorpost of your home, keep kosher. Don't be afraid to wear that cross. Don't be afraid to go to church. That's what these progressive lefts want you to do. They want you to be afraid. They want you to be just like them. So reject them in November. Reject them forever. Vote them out. Reject their agenda. Reject their choices. Call them out. Hold them accountable. Do not be afraid to. We have freedoms in this country. Don't let them take them away from you. The market is crashing under these people. The market never grew under Obama. He kept it at a low GDP growth when he got in. Everybody thought, oh, he was going to grow the economy once he got in. Nope, not at all. We lost jobs under Barack Obama. We never gained. He put our country into a deep recession, and Kamala will make it worse. Oh, the terrorists will do great. They'll have money. George Soros will have his money forever. But we, the people, will suffer. We'll always suffer. Under her, we will continue to suffer, and we will suffer forever. And that's the reality. If you want your freedoms, if you want to keep your freedoms, because if you want to keep your freedoms, if you don't want if you don't want to lose it all, if you don't want to go through a deep depression, you do everything you can to put Donald J. Trump in office. Everything you can. Let's get rid of the stereotypes. If you're a minority like myself, you work with that minority community. You get them to exit the Democratic Party and never look back. I've done the work. I do the work every day. I will not stop. I'm not a defeatist. And neither should anybody. And that's one of the main themes of today. Is don't be a defeatist. Let's break the stereotypes. Let's help these communities that normally vote Democrat. Let's push them across the aisle. But also, let's not make the market crash. Let's get us out of this. Let's get our country back on track, because President Trump is only one man. He can't do it alone. He needs us. He needs us. So we have a few minutes left in the program. I just want to remind everyone that this Saturday is a very special event, Charm City Idol. It is kind of like a parody of American Idol. I'm going to be one of the judges. It's a singing competition. We will have elected official Tim Fazenbaker. He's actually emceeing the event. He's going to be like the Ryan Seacrest of the event. You can actually reach out to him at timfazenbaker.com. You can look him up, timfazenbaker.com. But it will be at in Dundalk at 7900 North Battle Grove Road in Dundalk, Maryland, from 7 to 11 p.m. Saturday, August 11th. This is great because the Patriots Prayer is one of the sponsors of this event, with the show Alexandra 360, as well as the entire Patriots Prayer Network. But please come this Saturday night in Dundalk at 7900 New Battle Grove from 7 to 11 p.m. Again, elected official Tim Fazenbaker is emceeing. Go to timfazenbaker.com to look him up. But please come to the event. It'll be great. And we have many contestants. The money actually goes to a charity called Soup for the Soul. It is a soup kitchen to help feed our veterans. And everyone at Charm City, they're all Democrats, Independents, Republicans. It's a mix, different ethnicities, races, religions, and creeds. We all get along together. It's gonna be a fun time. And that's what that's what it's all about, helping out your community. Tim Fazenbaker always helps out his community. He's always there for his constituents, regardless of party, regardless of race, religion, and creed. He's always there. He's like a phone call away, email away. But this has been a great show. We've had great guests, a very jam-packed hour. Every day, the news is just rolling. Again, the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.